We're now in week 4 of the course and we're talking about FAA medical issues. Your reading for this week is Chapter 3, Aviation Medical Cases in our textbook. It's a fairly short chapter, so please read it. You will find hopefully some new information, and I do think that a lot of the pilot students in the course have probably discussed this at some point, but it will be a good refresher. The other thing that we're going to talk about this week is how illegal use of drugs and transporting illegal drugs ties into the FAA medical process, and how a violation of federal law in this area can end up resulting in denial of a medical certificate or revocation of pilot certificates and a medical certificate. So first, I'm going to read you a quick excerpt from a case. This is an NTSB case from 2016, and if you'd like to look it up, it is Administrator versus McKeon, which is McKeon. An airman failed to notify the FAA of his alcohol-related automobile incident. The NTSB upheld the administrator's emergency order of revocation based on its prior precedent. The board has found and continues to find that even one intentional falsification compels the conclusion that the falsifier lacks the necessary care, judgment, and responsibility required to hold any airman's certificate. Okay, that's a pretty harsh approach to this, and I want you to keep that in mind throughout this chapter, that the FAA is not a fan of second chances. The other thing that you are going to see as you read Administrator versus Russell, which is an NTSB case that I've uploaded to K-State Online for you, is that even if a state allows the use of marijuana, or a state doesn't even convict a pilot of being in possession or transporting marijuana, the fact that the pilot has done it means that the FAA can revoke a license. So there is a much lower standard in administrative law than in criminal law, which we know is beyond a reasonable doubt, for when a pilot can be revoked. So please read Administrator versus Russell and think about what kind of implications that case has. Notice that that case is also from 2016, so this is very current law. And if you look at the very first page of the case that I've uploaded for you, I included a chart of the U.S. that shows which states allow some form of legal use of marijuana, whether that's recreational use or medical use. And the point that I want to drive home and to have you understand this week is that even if a state allows the use of marijuana for whatever reason, that doesn't change that the federal government still makes marijuana an illegal narcotic, punishable by possession or use with fines or imprisonment, depending on the offense. And the FAA, because it's also using federal law, is going to follow federal law instead of state law. So, for example, if you live in California, this is a scenario that someone actually called me with a couple months ago. They had a buddy that was interested in moving marijuana between California and Oregon because they didn't want to transport it in a vehicle, like a motor vehicle, because that took too much time to drive. And they called and asked whether that would be an issue. Yes, absolutely that's an issue, and that could lead to the pilot being revoked in addition to a whole string of other issues involving the aircraft and anyone else involved. So that's what I want you to keep in mind for this week. Read the course textbook, read the case online, discuss it with your peers, and let me know if you have questions.